The following program is a Nighthawk Network presentation.
Good evening, my people. What's going on? Your boy E-Buck in the building, doing what we do about this time, talking about the things I think about while many of you are sleeping or just don't have the time to think about it. That, of course, means it's time for my I Am Nighthawk pod show. Forgive me if I'm looking a little ragged and rough. That's kind of how I feel today, man. We working through it though, so rest assured we're gonna have a good conversation. And by all means, if you have anything to contribute to said conversation, by all means, please chime in the comments, whether it be now or later on in the rebroadcast. We appreciate you for giving your 2 cents, your respectful 2 cents, that is. All right, tonight we're talking two topics. We are talking legal battles and assault, and we are also talking about pain to be racist. We'll get into that a little later. Okay, first of all, let's get into the main topic. As you see, I have chose for today's set a courtroom because, of course, one of the main topics for discussion for this in the upcoming weeks to come is the ongoing trial between the people versus Sean Combs. As you know, unless you have been under a big old rock, there is a big thing going on in terms of court battle between him and the people because, of course, he is being accused of being a kingpin and having basically a sexual organization and all of that. We're going to try to avoid using the term sex because that, of course, will be triggered in our logarithms. That is the book and the tube, and we basically want to have a decent discussion, a discussion based upon knowledge and thought process and whatnot. We are not just on here being freaky. Facebook and YouTube, please understand that. So if it comes up in the logarithm, understand we're trying to have some logical and analytical discussions here. We are not doing no perverted stuff when we have this discussion, okay? Which gets into the beginning of it. As you know, this is a trial, but there are several people being brought up on charges in recent weeks when it involves things of a non what's the word I want to use? Basically non confirming sexual nature. In other words, you did not ask for what you got in terms of that, okay? So yeah, allergies. Um what we are saying is that we people are here to discuss something that we have all found very hard to discuss over the years because of the very touchy nature in which it evolves. I mean, let's be honest, many of us either have been or know somebody who has been dealt with wrongly in terms of a sexual orientation or nature. In other words, well, you know some of the words. Like I said, we try not to trigger things, so you know what I'm saying. What we have here are several people coming out in the last few weeks saying that, yeah, so and so did me wrong in that way. I need to sue them. And I need to make it to where I gets me some money. Now, keep in mind, in the Diddy Kong case, this is actually a federal trial. This is basically a jail without the bail type situation. This is not many of the other cases I'm talking about, which are involving civil cases, which means they are suing for damages and payments for things that were done wrong to them. That in of itself is part of our discussion. Understand that several of these people are alleging that the people that they are alleging did these things. Some of those people are people like, and again, we're saying the word allegedly, people such as P. Diddy Combs, who does have civil cases to deal with after this trial, people such as Smokey Robinson, who has been accused in recent weeks, people such as Byron Scott, the former NBA player, people, of course, such as Shannon Sharp and his situation, uh, not just people of color, people such as Justin Tucker, the now former kicker of the Baltimore Ravens, also in recent weeks being accused of sexual misconduct, basically, and being sued for that civilly, which basically means if they are found guilty of said things, they can then be brought up on some type of financial compensation for the issue. Now, again, this is a very, very touchy subject, okay? Let me be very, very clear in my next statement, as these are the views and opinions of me, Eric Buckner, not any of those of my cohorts here in the Nighthawk Network. This is how I personally feel. Um, Anybody that knowingly does those things to an individual, taking their essence against their will, is just straight up and flat out wrong. There is no condoning it whatsoever. Let me make that very, very clear. We do not approve that message at all. No way, shape, form, and how. Okay? No, no, and no. I'm having a slight technical issue. Let me fix that and then we will get back to the discussion. Sorry for those of you listening on the radio end that don't see what's going on here, but it's basically okay. We got it fixed now. All right. So here is where we are with it. Okay. I find it odd to some degree that people are now simultaneously, mind you, coming out with these allegations against certain people, because it seems like ever since the quote unquote YouTube movement started, that's kind of how this plays out, where one person accuses someone and then following up within the next week or two, several other people are also trying to get similar results from said individual. Now, in the ideal world, there is no acceptable amount of how many times people have been wrong when it comes to these types of situations. I think it's safe to assume, though, that most people who do these types of things tend to do them more than once, unfortunately. So that is part of why we find ourselves here. Now, when it comes to certain people, you would like to think, yeah, there's no way, say like a Smokey Robinson who was in his 80s did these things. You would like to believe that to not be true, but there is no definitive way to know that without everything playing out more times than not. You know? I mean, yeah, you would think a person in their 60s and 70s are not going around doing things of a misconduct nature in that way to people, just from the physical of what we understand that to be of people in our 60s and 70s. As our good friend Rode is checking into the building. Hey, Rode. Rode has actually discussed some of these things that I'm talking about in regards to a couple of these people. You can watch her podcast, Speaking Freely with Miss Gigo. She has discussed that in some of her episodes. By all means, please check that out. We will play the commercial for you guys in a little while if you do not know where to find it. But basically, you can go on Spotify. By all means, Rode, if you are in the building, please text in the comments where they can find it also, so we can post that for you. But yeah, it's hard because again, me being a male person and most of the accusers in these cases being female, You don't ever want to come off as a person saying what you are feeling or what happened to you is invalid or is not important, because it very much is. Wrong is wrong. Okay. I grew up a Bible fearing individual. Basically, no means no. Point blank, plain and simple. And if at some point in said relationship, whether it started out where it was consensual and ended up being something different or not, if that person in that scenario basically told you, no, not today, it's no, not today. And if you in turn went and did things anyway, you was wrong. Flat out. You were wrong. And there are consequences and circumstances. Understand we live in an America where once upon a time, back in the days of Plymouth Rock and all that, the people came over from the motherland of England and other spots and set up the early laws in which many of them said that if you were not married and you engaged in such activities, good, bad, or otherwise, it was against the law. So even if y'all both consensual to it, but you were not married, you were against the law and you could be criminally prosecuted for said things. Because remember, most of our early laws were based on people who were believers of the King James Version of said Bible and so on. And you know what it says in there if you know your Bible. So there is that. Um, the problem comes in where sometimes some of these things tend to have shades of gray. What do I mean by that? All right, take the Shannon Sharp case that we know of, for example, where he has been allegedly charged with doing things of a immoral nature that was not completely consensual with said partner. Now, it has been established that him and this individual, whose name I will not put out there, even though he has, at one point were in a consensual relationship that involved intercourse. Okay. And they in turn said, yeah, we're going to do our thing the way we do it. And it was not of a quote unquote normal nature. In other words, they was kind of kinky with theirs, a little extraordinary, a little outside of the box, so to speak, when it came to how they got down. But then that kind of led to it going too far on one end, according to the accuser, who basically said that at some point this person started doing things that they did not consent to, which was not cool. Okay. Now, obviously, if that's exactly what happened, verbatim, and it is proven in court of law and such on, whatever happens at that point should happen. In other words, if Shannon then has to pay money, he should. If Shannon then eventually ends up being in some type of criminal case and that happens, he should. On the other hand, if this is some type of scenario, and let's go there with it, because again, we do not want to belittle any of the people who are the victims in these cases. If these things have happened to them and they legitimately happen, I have nothing but sympathy and empathy for them. It was wrong, and the people that did this to you should be punished to the full extent of our law. Okay? Plain and simple. However, like I said, if you have brought about these cases, and I feel like, again, this is my personal feelings, that in some of these cases, that is the play, that people have brought on these cases to basically be compensated to cash out. It's all a scam so they can get that dough. You are the ones that are wrong, okay? Because this is something that's kind of on that Pandora's box level, okay? Where in the end, if you accuse someone of doing these types of things and they in turn end up being innocent, on the one hand, yeah, they are justified in the court of law, but on the other hand, The damage has been done. This person is now the person you got to watch, because even though they was proven innocent, you still wonder, okay, who else may come out and have something to say? Are they just partially innocent? Like, for example, as we talk about the court case that is P. Diddy Combs, we are learning early on that part of what happened here. What up, though, coach? Part of what happened here is that Mr. Combs was in a relationship with the young lady known as person one, that we now know is Cassie, his former girlfriend and what have you. And she has said that they engaged in things that initially she was okay with, but then things got out of hand and they did things that she eventually was not okay with. That in turn led to where we are now in that situation. Um, it's unfortunate because, okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, in this particular trial, Sean Combs is not convicted. Is set free, not convicted of the things he is being charged of. Because there is a scenario where at one point there's a video, and we all have seen the video of what he did to that young lady. We know he is guilty of something based on that video. Okay. He at the least, and I don't even want to use the word least like that, because it's still what he did was very bad. He at the least is a domestic violence person, and that's not a good thing at all. And he should face some type of criminal charge. If not that, I suppose some people may feel that, okay, he already been in jail for the better part of a year. That might cover some of it. I don't know. Long story short, if it is just simply he is a violent person in his relationships, nothing more than that, then clearly he should be punished for that. If in fact everything he's being accused of, basically being a sex trafficker and setting up an organization designed to have people be persecuted and dealt with wrongly in that way, then yeah, obviously whatever happens to him should happen to him. But nonetheless, his Pandora's box is open now. No matter what happens in this thing, there is no coming back to where he was prior to all this being exposed. He will never be the man he was. His career will never be the same. Maybe at the very best, he can go back to doing some form of music and production, but clearly nobody will really deal with Sean Combs the same again. No way, no form. Ideally, I would say if in the end he somehow is set free from this, it's probably in his better interest to move on out the country, live a different life somewhere else. I don't even want to put that if I was him, because I don't want to be him. I don't want to be viewed as him. I don't even want people to remotely think that's in the realm of possibility that I could be him. So I'm not even going to put myself in his shoes. I cannot. I cannot. I will not. Okay? Now, the problem I have, like I said, these people, again, if they've done the things they're being accused of and they convicted of that, they was wrong. I do not approve that message. Whatever happens, happens. But in the cases of some of these folks, if they indeed did not do these things, if they are strictly alive, they basically somebody setting themselves up to get a payday, and that's what it is, and we find out that's what it is. The question is, what happens then? It's not fair that you've already taken these people's reputations and basically spit on them and mush them for the rest of their existence. Because in the end, at the worst, you still gonna be I'm so and so, the person that was accused of this, and this in 2025. But then you get to walk away because more times than not, in these cases, these people are not identified, so that we don't know their names. We don't know. We may find out people doing their investigative reporting or whatnot. But in the end, we tend not to know who these people are after the fact. After then, I mean, take for example, a few months back when somebody tried to get Jay-Z involved in this whole Puffy trial thing, and he basically fought it, and come to find out that that person was telling a fib on them. Okay, there's other people that have been dragged in this to some degree, and I really don't even want to throw their names out there because, like I said, they have been proven to not be involved, at least at this point, and I don't even want to put that in the system like that. Walk away unscathed, exactly. According to cousin Marla, I agree. Some of these people are allowed to make these accusations that are false, and they basically get to move on. Like, oh well, I tried to get on, I tried to get my payday, it didn't work. Oh well, that should not be fair. They, at some point, should be dealt with by the court of law. I feel. If you come to find out that these people absolutely positively lied on these people and now they get to walk away from it like, well, it is what it is, got them, that is not right. It simply is not right. And then again, I also want to talk to the people that are taking these cases, the lawyers who are basically saying, okay, you say this person did something, let's see if we can get some money out of them. Because you know how some of these go. Basically, the person who is saying, yeah, that person did me dirty, he was nasty to me, this happened. They, before it even goes to court, usually go to these people and say, hey, this person said you did it wrong. You tried to steal what was not yours, so to speak. And you got to pay. Now, if you pay such and such money, we'll leave it at that. It won't go to court. We won't go to trial. We'll go ahead and settle it on out, and you can go on about your business. Supposedly, allegedly, that's what happened in the Shannon Sharp case, where, okay, yeah, let's try this amount of money. And Shannon came back like, I ain't paying you jack. And then came back, okay, well, we're going to put it out here. And we got this video. Check it out. And then supposedly Shannon's people was like, well, okay, we can give you a hot 10 million, but that's all you get. Because in the end, it appears Shannon didn't want it out because, yeah, he definitely had a relationship with the young lady. He just didn't want the nature of what they did to be out there, especially since he had things going on that was going to bring more money to the system, which now is not the case because it's out here. Smokey Robinson situation. Apparently, the 4 people accusing him worked for him at some point. And the reason why they didn't say anything at the time was because they were fearful that they would be sent back to their country of origin. Something to that effect is that case. And that is why they waited till this time to say something. Now, part of what makes me very, very much question some of these is the fact that there are certain lawyers that seem to take on certain cases, good, bad, or otherwise. For example, if you are here in my metro area in Detroit, and we got a couple of Detroiters here in the room, if certain things happen, like say hit and fall, car accident, things of that nature, it's certain lawyers here in the metro area you automatically know more times than not will get in touch with you. The Mike Moores, the Sam Bernsteins, the people like that of the world. Because those are the type of cases that they specialize in. Civil rights cases. We know the lawyer Ben that basically did cases for people like Tiana Taylor, and not Tiana Taylor. Hold on, y'all know who I'm saying. I'm sorry. Let me not put Tiana Taylor's business in something that it don't belong in. My bad. But Miss Taylor, the little lady who got shot when they was trying to get her boyfriend years ago. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And George Floyd, that lawyer, he specializes in those cases. Now, in some of these cases of sexual misconduct, there is a lawyer that specializes in that, and he seems to be at the forefront of several of these people that I'm talking about cases, particularly the P Diddy and the I believe he may also be the lawyer for the Shannon Sharp situation as well. Don't quote me on that. But again, they come with these cases because they have been known to get results and get money out of some of these people. So that's why these people find themselves going to them, or in some cases, they come to those people knowing that, yeah, we might be able to cook up something to get you the money you deserve. Sort of. Kind of. Maybe not. Anyway, it's a very thin line here. Because, like I said, we do not want to have the people who have gone through this be minimalized. The crime that they are accusing people of, if it did indeed happen to them, is a very, very serious thing, a very, very wrong thing that happened to any individual, male, female, or otherwise. We do not want to marginalize that. We do not want to have people say, okay, they just lying off the rip, because we don't know. And we won't know until we know. But in the same token, if these people are falsely accusing these people, it is wrong. And it's definitely wrong that nothing happens to them in that case. They get to move on saying, okay, I tried to get it and I couldn't get it. But in the meanwhile, this person's reputation has been damaged for life. And they cannot move on and be the same person they were before. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, the whole Shannon Sharp thing ends up being somewhat of a fugazi, okay? Shannon cannot go on as before. More than likely, because of the allegations, he probably will lose his job at ESPN, it being a subsidiary of Disney, and Disney taking these types of things very, very seriously. He probably will end up losing that job, unfortunately. I think he's a good broadcaster and all of that, but that is that much. Okay. The Club Shay Shay, think about it. Okay, part of his podcast is people coming on and discussing things of a personal nature that they feel comfortable discussing with him with. Some of these things are things similar to what he's going through now. How do you go on Club Shay Shay now and have these discussions knowing he done dealt with stuff the way he done dealt with it? Can you take him seriously? Are you going to talk to him the same now? Ain't that much of that Laportier liquor in the world to make you want to tell him your personal thoughts when you think in the back of your mind, what else are you hiding, sir? Maybe you need to be on this other side of the couch with me telling your story. You feel me? Allegedly. Now, unfortunately, because this is America and we are a litigious society, these things will continue to go on. In the ideal world, if this is one of those, okay, we just need to get these pedophiles and people doing things of a deviant nature out of the system, and everybody needs to come forward and tell their truth and get it handled. Okay, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. Can't be mad at that. But if everybody's looking at this, okay, it's payday time. I remember the one time I was with my boyfriend and he put it somewhere I didn't want him to put it, and now he getting paid, so now I'm about to get paid. We don't want this like that. That not only is a bad look on us, but it's also bad for the people that really and truly need to report what's going on with them, that really and truly are being abused and done wrong, as opposed to people just looking to get paid. there again is a thin line in all of this, and we will be crossing that line back and forth for the next several weeks with this Diddy trial. Because on the one hand, yes, some of these things he's being accused of, I personally think he did them. It happened. They got all type of videos and stuff. We probably not gonna see many of those videos, but of course we'll hear about it because this trial is a federal trial. For those wondering why we ain't seeing what's going on, why this ain't on court TV like that. And federal trials are not for public consumption to that degree, but because there are several people that will be reporting these things and letting us know what's going on in the trial, we'll find out what's happening, what's said, and what videos are shown and whatnot. So we'll know more than what we probably should know about Diddy and several other people. I mean, already in these first couple of days, we done learned about people and bodily functions, and we done learned too much already. It's just day 2. Buckle up. It probably will get lots worse. That being said, because like I said, I believe to some degree Diddy did some of these things. Yeah, I think he will be convicted of some of what he's being accused of, not all. And probably shouldn't be accused of all if they basically making it seem like, okay, he is this kingpin in this sexual organizational thing. I don't think it was quite as deep as that, but I do believe some things went on. And then, of course, there's the X factor in this trial, the fact that he has so many people of note that are considered friends and associates of his. And at some point, they may be asked to testify or their names may come up in these conversations. And based on what this trial is about, their reputations may also take some major hits along the way. So we have to see where it all goes. It's probably not going to be a good thing when all is said and done. And of course, me being a person of color, hate that there is a person of color on trial in this way. But again, right is right and wrong is wrong. And if he indeed was wrong, he needs to be punished for the crimes he committed. Plain and simple. But for those people who are thinking, okay, if they can do it and get paid, I'm thinking about doing it too. Even if it ain't true, don't do that. Don't do that. It's wrong, and you're making it more difficult for the people who have truly suffered from people doing things of this nature to them and need to have their story be told and need the vindication and need for the people who are abusing them or did abuse them to be brought to justice. You are making it difficult for those people to be that, because if more people are coming out and being proved to be wrong and liars, then people will start to look at it like, yeah, they all be lying. And we know that's not the case. Okay. So yeah, we'll monitor that, and as we need to talk more, we'll bring up more. But I do want to get to second half of the show where we want to talk about subject that I'm calling, are we getting paid to be racist now? What is that about exactly? We'll get into it after these words from my Nighthawk Network. Y'all know the motto, Nighthawk Network, our voice.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my tea sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comforts together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing darlings with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
In this world full of opinions, it is time you hear some of hers. Speaking Freely with Ms. Geigo Podcast. Find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as where other great podcasts are found.
Sports
his way. It's the guru's perspective. Hey, this is your boy Ebook. And if you're looking for some great desserts, something sweet, something to treat yourself with, please check out my girl Caramel Sweets here in the Metro Detroit area. She can make desserts for your function, your event, or just for that special someone you want to give something nice to. So check her out. It's Caramel Sweets. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram. We appreciate you. All right, good people, we are back. This is the I Am Nighthawk Pod Show. I'm your host, Ebook, and we just got through talking about legal and things of a sexual nature and the good, bad, the ugly thereof. I now want to discuss with you, good people, another subject that has recently hit the news that I found quite disturbing, and maybe you will as well. It all started with this incident here. Let me play this for you and then we'll discuss.
Call him the child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him. Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say. Nobody dig into your.
A little kid just did, you dumb.
That little kid, you call him a.
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know that's a hate speech, and you can be the that.
I don't give a.
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that. What the internet has to say about you.
All right, so here's the situation. Rochester, Minnesota, suburb of Minneapolis. This lady basically has an interaction with a young child where the child supposedly went in her child's diaper bag and took something. She in turn chases him around and calls him the N-word several times, and then gets questioned about it by this kid's nephew, this 5-year-old kid's nephew. I mean, uncle, I should say. And he then asked, okay, why are you calling him the N-word? And that, of course, is the interaction they had after the fact. Now, according to the story, he then posts this story on the internet, as we tend to do. And they, in turn, basically find this lady and in the comments go at her for filth. You dirty so and so and so while you do that. And then, of course, in this day, internet bullies, according to her and her people, she was harassed and threatened. And basically, at that point, she felt the need to do a GoFundMe page to set up something to where she could afford to move away from her area because she is being harassed in all her places that she goes. Now, I do have another video to show you in regards to what happened next. Let me see if I can get that set up here. In the meanwhile, if you are familiar with this story and you have some comments, feel free to go ahead and throw them in for us here, and we'll discuss. But I myself find it very bad that this went on. But was I surprised by this story? Unfortunately, no. There are several stories like this on TikTok that we find where people engage one another, and these types of things are said back and forth, and it gets real ugly, and there are fights and all this other stuff. Okay, now here's where the story takes from there. Let me see if we can get this video going. Again, we will watch this. This is a little bit longer video, mind you, and we'll discuss.
Fundraiser for woman who used racial slur against child draws racist comments of support. comments were removed from the fundraiser, which has raised more than $675,000 due to the unacceptable volume of racist and derogatory remarks, according to a co-founder of the Christian crowdfunding platform. Once again, folks, I just read the news out loud. An online fundraiser purported to be for a woman in Minnesota who admitted in a viral video to calling a child the N-word at a public park has garnered more than $675,000 in donations, many of which came with comments espousing white supremacist views. Many of the racist comments were posted by anonymous users or those using racist handles, and some even seemed to refer to Nazi symbolism. Among those donating money were White Unity Will Unite, Black Excellence Fatigue, Aunt Jemima, Whites Stand Strong, and White Rise. The comments and the commenting function were later removed from the page. These young generations of whites are sick of the bullying, intimidation, and being made to shut up about race issues, White Texas Mommy wrote on the fundraising page while contributing $50. NBC News captured the comment in a screenshot before it was removed. They call us racist because we are white. Nothing will ever make them happy. They've been given trillions of dollars. They've been allowed into our schools and neighborhoods, forced upon us at every turn, and they still aren't happy. Donor Hey Wildrich wrote on another since removed post before contributing $88. Jacob Wells, a founder of the Christian crowdfunding platform GiveSendGo, said on social media that comments on the fundraiser had been disabled due to unacceptable volume of racist and derogatory remarks. We remain committed to ensuring all funds raised are delivered to the campaign recipients as intended, he wrote. We unequivocally condemn the hateful comments that sought to fuel division and harmful narratives. Prohibited fundraising campaigns on GiveSendGo include those for abortions, gender reassignment surgery, and illegal activities, as well as those impersonating people or organizations. The fundraising page related to an incident that took place April 28 in Rochester, Minnesota, appears to have been set up by a person with the same name as a woman who was recorded on video hurling racist slurs at a child of Somali heritage at a public park. She accused the child of stealing from her son's diaper bag. A post on the fundraising site says that the woman's family had been threatened and that personal information about her, such as her social security number, her phone number, and her address, were leaked. NBC News hasn't verified whether the woman was the person in the video, nor whether she created the fundraising page. Attempts to reach her Monday weren't successful. Heather Wilson, co-founder of GiveSendGo, told NBC News on Sunday that the fundraiser hasn't cleared the company's full verification process. No funds will be disbursed until the process is completed, which includes verifying the identity of the campaign organizer and their connection to the intended recipient, she said. The Rochester branch of the NAACP also held a fundraiser to benefit the family of the child in the incident. Together we raised $341,484. Love wins. It said.
All right, I think the rest of it is kind of fathered, but you basically get the gist of it. So, based upon what we just heard, I then ask you this simple question: are we now being paid to be racist? Okay. Again, the story as it unfolded: is a young lady had an incident at a park with a very, very young black person, saying that that child did something to her child's diaper bag, and that justified her and calling that child the N-word numerous times. And then basically that video was posted. She in turn, because of said video, got commentaries and threats that led her, or at least somebody representing her according to the story, to make this GoFundMe type page where they have contributed over $600,000 to the cause of them being able to relocate and move because of what happened. Okay? And several of the contributors to the page left additional comments that can be viewed as very racist in nature, to the point to where the commentary for this particular page was cut off so that no further comments of that nature could be made. This happened in America in the last 30 days, okay? This is what we're working with, all right? Let us be very clear. We are a nation of 365 million people of various nationalities, backgrounds, and whatnot. However, we do have a past that includes many of my ancestors being held in the bonds of slavery for 400 plus years. It is a history that people want to not talk about or in some cases erase, but make no mistake, it happened. Some people view me in this world not as a man, not as ebook, not as anything more than a person of color that is beneath them and not even worthy of the same air that they breathe. There are people in this world that look upon me simply from how I look, what color my skin is, and view me as a bad person. And that is something me and the people who look like me have to live with every single day we walk the streets of these United States. That is why when oftentimes people ask that question, why everything got to be a race thing? Why you always got to break out the race cards? That is why. Because oftentimes, like it or not, people see these situations as simply black and white, a race thing, much like this situation is. Now, shout out to the Minnesota chapter of the NAACP who tried to take a very bad situation and make a better one of it by also setting a page that has been contributed to the tune of $300,000. Apparently, that money is going to be used to help that young boy's family with any legal issues that they may have for posting the video or any traumatizations that happen because of this or whatever the case may be, because apparently his family has received threats also based on the posting of the video. It is sad. It is sad that based on what the video may be, or basically just because you are you, if you post a video in a certain place based upon whatever it may be, that you will get negative comments that are sparked not from what is going on, but from the fact you are a person of color or a person of non-color even. Because it does happen on both ends of the spectrum. Now, some people who look like me would say, okay, well, we can't be racist because we are not the people who are the oppressor. We are the oppressed. People are so cruel, says my cousin Marley. I definitely agree with that. They are. It is the sad truth of the matter. It would be nice if we could live in a world where everybody is viewed as people, period. Red, white, black, polka dot, what have you. Keeping in mind that there are not so many people that live in these United States that are full race of anything. In other words, you are not 100% any nationality. You are some mixture of something. That being black, white, and otherwise. There's very few people who live here like, okay, your mom was Chinese, your daddy was Chinese, your grandma and grandpa was Chinese, and so on and so forth, for example. That is definitely the exception and not the rule. Many of us are people of mixed race, plain and simple. So for us to be quote unquote racist is crazy to me. It is crazy talk. I have people of color in my family. I have people who are white in my family. Love them all the same. Period. There are good people in this world. There are bad people in this world. That's where I live. That is the lane I am at. Okay? Don't care about what color he is. Good person, bad person. That's what I care about. You a bad person, stay away from me. Don't want no bad people in my life. Want good people. Good people doing good things. Okay? This lady, you seen it for yourself. The video wasn't Dr. Yeah, I understand we live in this era of AI where you can make virtually anything. If you look at my Facebook page, you see that I actually have in the last week or so made sets of things of me doing different activities, and it looks so much like me. It's scary, okay? I mean, scary. But yet and still, this happened in real life. This was not an AI. This lady said that, and she stood on it, okay? And then went on to apparently possibly profit from being a racist to the tune of at least $600,000. Are you not bothered by that? I am. Yes, the young man over $300,000. Are you bothered by that? I'm sure some of you are. Why he get money just because this lady was racist to him? You know how some of us think. But the sad part is this is just one of the many, many stories like this that happen every single day here in this country and in places around the world, to be honest. This is not the only racist society in the world. This is just one of the better known ones, unfortunately. Yes, the United States is still majority people of non-color, Caucasian, Anglo-Saxon, whatever politically correct term you prefer. But as we are growing as a nation and more people of non-white coming to this country, some people have problems with that. That is why we having all these discussions about immigration and who's allowed here and who's not allowed here and so on and so forth. Marlon saying exactly those same people wouldn't give a penny to a person in need. And it's sad. It's sad we live in a country where we have so many other things that we really should be focused on. But unfortunately, because we can't get past this thing that has gone on for as long as this has been a country, some of those other things get swept under the rug or don't get dealt with as well as they should have. It is very sad and true. But yeah, we can't start getting to this point now where okay, the next story happens the next couple of weeks, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, this lady, she went ahead and got up out of this and made some money. Let me see what I can do. Yeah, see how they did me? Can I get some money? Now, some people, they got money to burn like that, apparently. They waiting for the next thing to jump off so they can be like, yeah, I got some money towards you too. Smurf those. We ain't letting them get away with it. Just like on the other end, like, yeah, we ain't gonna let those guys get away with it. Here's some money for you. Is this what we doing now? We gonna start paying each other to be racist to each other? I don't want this. I don't want this America. I don't like this America. We already got enough problems. Let's not make some new ones. Okay. Cuz says, well, Trump brought 59 white Africans. Yeah, let's have that discussion. To escape cruelty, but didn't help a black African get out of the way of cruelty. Now, this goes to a story that's been broadcast in recent days that in the nation of South Africa, in the continent of Africa, there has been a uprising against people of non-color based on what I don't know. Like I said, that part of the story I don't know. But nonetheless, 49 of those people have been granted permission to come to this country for political asylum in a country where one of the main topics for the last several months has been immigration and getting people up out the country. Our president, the one who basically ran on the platform of, okay, let's mass deport people, actually bringing people in to the country. And yes, those people are people who are white. Now, it's crazy because a few people have said this, that they didn't know there was such things as white Africans. That is so crazy. I need people to start paying more attention in history and social studies class. Of course, there are white Africans. Of course, there are Chinese people who are black. Of course, there are Russians who are black and Arabic and so on and so forth. Do a little research. Read a book. Part of the problem is that we don't get a lot of access to foreign countries' news feeds. We really should. We really need a couple stations that play on network television where we can see what's going on in other countries from their point of view, not basically how they want us to see it. Cuz is saying it's okay with more whites, just not black or brown. Elon Musk is from Africa, for example. Speaking of white Africans, the richest man in the world is a white African from South Africa, Mr. Elon Musk, and his many, many children. Don't even get me started on that. But anyway, we are a country with several problems. We unfortunately now seem to be creating new ones. We are using the internet to do these types of things. That is not what we want. If in the end, this is the type of stuff that's going to be on TikTok on a regular, that gives people more reasons to not want a TikTok, to not want the internet, the social network, because we are using it more for the army of bad than the army of good. There are many great stories on TikTok. In fact, because of how TikTok is set up, ideally, if you go on TikTok and type in good stories, it will show you good stories. Very good stories. His family stole from Africa just to become rich, she's saying about Elon Musk. Well, again, this is a person that does read. Shout out to my cousin Marla Facey, Dr. Marla Facey. I just, when it comes to some of these things, I can't say I'm at a loss of word. I'm just frustrated. Frustrated with the whole thing that after all these decades and centuries that we don't seem to be no better off than we were. And this is from a country whose leader's motto is let's make America great again. We were not great. We have never been great. If this is the mindset that we have even now, how could you ever say that this country was great or is great at this point? Of course, I don't know, but it was said. Yeah, I got you, cuz. Um, Good people, we got to do better. We got to want better, okay? Part of this is our fault for allowing our country, our people around us to evolve into what we have now. Many of us, as God fearing people, say, okay, I'm just going to pray on it, and it is what it is. I mean, God, at least the God that I know, my personal relationship with Him, is a loving person. He is a God of love. These things that involve all this hate and such, He is not pleased. He could not be pleased. This is not what He created us for. It starts from the top. It takes change from the inside out. Indeed. It takes each one of us to say, okay, this ain't cool. We're not doing this like this no more. We're going to stop viewing each other as colors and races and just start viewing each other as human beings, as people. Start showing each other love. Put the hate aside. Move on. Move forward. It'd be nice if it was as simple as that, but as we know, it is not. But anyway, that is this week's show. I am Nighthawk. Only a couple more episodes before I shut it down for the summer. Definitely need to. It's some projects I want to work on. It's a couple online classes that I'm taking this summer. So I need to kind of work on that. I'm working on other projects with some other people that we're putting on the network. For example, shout out to Coach Vincent Fortner Bay, whose show Straight Sports Talk with Coach Vincent will start airing on these airways on a regular starting Friday at 8 p.m. Please tune in and check that out. Shout out to Coach, and thank you for showing us love here at the network. We are showing you the love in return, sir. Because I'm saying, if you don't know God, it's hard to live the way God wants. Got to get in His Word. Get right with God and do it now. Exactly. Because in the end, if you are godless people, then it's hard to find love where you don't have love. That part. Again, shout out to all the other people, all the black business owners that we are promoting, all the people whose projects we are also promoting network, all our continued regular visitors of the show, such as my cousin Dr. Marla Facey, such as Rhoda Stardom, such as Vincent Bay. Good night, cousin. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Thank you for your comments as well. And all the other people that tune in from time to time. We do love and appreciate you as well. Also, shout out to WTEA Radio, who airs the audio versions of these pod shows on their airway. Shout out to Demetrius Big Meech Taylor for doing that. We appreciate you, my family. Thank you so much. Until the next time we meet, like I said, a couple episodes left until the end of this season. We will talk and discuss. And as always, I say, don't stress. Be blessed, and if in the end you can't work it out, put your hands together and pray to the man upstairs and let the good Lord deal with the rest. Until next time we meet, which in my case will be tomorrow when I team up with my good buddy Hugh Lee for the show known as the Guru Sports Session, where we talk about all those things. We will catch up with you then. Until then, y'all, I'm E-Buck, and I am out. Fingers peace. Hit my theme music. Where that?
Looking for the ultimate throwback?
The following program is a Nighthawk Network presentation.